Hello everyone and welcome back to my second channel. This channel is where we post random weather videos and various other things like music and my life sort of things like life records or whatever, just keeping track of things in my life or whatever. But yeah, welcome to this today's weather video. Yes, this is looking like a very exciting video, a lot to cramp in this video. We are going to be looking at, obviously we will be looking at how the temperature's looking and the rainfall's looking so far. We will be looking at the 12Z and 18Z GFS and other 12Z models as well. And we will be taking a look back at 2019-20 as well later in this video. So you'll get to see how that winter went. I'm sure most people know how that winter went. And yeah, I'm not saying anything, you'll find out soon, even though you probably already experienced it. But yeah, okay, so we are going to start off today with the average temperature from the Fife weather station. So this is the one that used to be near me, but yeah, it's the one I follow the most because Dundee one doesn't update that often. It updates like once every 5 years, so it's like once every month, which is nowhere near as much as this. So you can see here we have dropped by 0.1 of a degree. We are down to 7.7. We did have a cooler day today, Monday. Not that cool. It's still a bit above average. But yeah, we had a cooler day today compared to the days before it. But yeah, I think this is probably gonna drop a little bit more, and then on Thursday and Friday it'll probably climb back to 7.8 or 7.9, and then where it goes after that is really interesting. Like I'm still sticking with my original thing, 5.8, 6.3, 5.8 to 6.3. That's my 0.5 of a guess, basically, for this final one. And we'll see how that goes, probably in the end of November. Actually, probably the first day of December, we'll probably see that. Oh yeah, I will be doing a winter forecast on the 1st of December, by the way, so come to the channel on the 1st of December. I haven't really decided I want to do it 30th of November, 1st of December yet. It really depends how things go. But yeah, on the 2nd of December, we'll do a video, going through like the forecast and seeing how November's basically ended up as well. These videos might come a bit more frequent now rather than 2 times a week. It might become 3 times a week, maybe 4. It really depends how interesting things go, by the way, in the next couple of weeks. It's looking like it is getting very interesting, though, especially that last week in November. How that pans out is going to be very interesting in the end, so yeah. But yeah, I really think that this is going to end up between 5.8 and 6.3. To get that, we will need a few cold snaps to really bring this down, and I think it probably will happen. We're definitely getting one, probably. I'm not going to reveal anything yet, but I'll talk when we get to the models. I will actually talk through what the previous days models have done. But yeah, I think so. In summary, I've said this a lot. We're going to finish at 5.8 to 6.3. We're going to finish nowhere near 2011 because that was really mild. We're going to finish nowhere near 2014. We're going to get quite a bit below last year. 2018 probably a bit below that. Currently end up around 2009 area, 2008. That's probably more 2009 actually. Notice there's not a lot with 5 or like 5 though. It's kind of weird. I thought that would be around average, but yeah. And precipitation hasn't moved at all. We're sticking with our original guess of 50 to 60 mils. It really depends how much rain we're going to get, because is it going to be rain? Is it going to be snow? That's a whole big, massive question. In Fife, it's definitely a better chance of getting snow than, anywhere else in the UK, like further south and stuff. So yeah, that's my guess, 50 to 60 mils, but that might be ruined by the lack of rainfall with dry weather, or it'll probably be ruined because it's snowy. But yeah. Okay, we are going to move on to the next part now. This is the, so we brought you up to date with the Fife weather stuff. We're going to have a look at 2019-20. Some say one of the worst winters of the century. But yeah. This is 2019-20. We're going to start off with today, so like where it would have been 2 years ago today, the 15th of November. We are bringing in a fairly cold wind actually. Not cold, but cooler winds. This is quite cold considering what this winter was. But yeah, so we're going to skip through this now. So we're going to go through this as fast as I can. I will bring you I'll try and talk some things as well. And yeah. So this is staying pretty cool, not overly cold, but it is cool. I've got the -5 Celsius from into the east, and then we're going to skip forward a little bit here, and it does go a bit unsettled on the 20th, and it goes a bit milder as well as we break through the Atlantic a little bit. 23rd of November is very mild as well. You will see me going to 850 HPI temp a lot because I'm not used to these charts. I don't know what they're really showing yet. I can see the wind flow, you know, like low pressure goes in an anti-clockwise direction. I know that, no, it doesn't. What am I talking about? Yeah, it does. Low pressure goes in an anti-clockwise direction, and high pressure goes in a clockwise direction. So I'm still getting used to this stuff, but yeah, you will see me clicking on 850 HPA temp a lot to actually know the temperature. I won't know some of it though. I'll take my best guess. And you see here, we've got a bit of blocking appearing. Not a lot. Nothing like what we're seeing in next week's models, which you'll see in a minute. Nothing like what it was on the 25th of November. You never know. This may be actually... This may be what happened next week. I doubt it, considering the ridge is like going up here, like stretching all the way down the Atlantic. That's a difference, though. That's a difference as well. Like, we've not got the ridge extending. It's more like just, you know, it's just kind of appearing. Like, it's kind of flimsy, you know. And then we go into an unsettled spell. It stays mild until the end of November. This November was actually quite cold as well. If we go back to Fife weather as well, we can actually see here that November 2019 does not appear on the list, so it is below 4.3. So it is quite a cold November, this one. Yeah, and it does show that a cold November doesn't all the time lead to, like, it could actually be a ruin, like, it could ruin the winter. I think the thing that ruined this winter, though, in general, was probably the oceans, I'm guessing. Like, it was kind of like it was really nothing, really. It wasn't a La Nina, it wasn't El Nino. It kind of just ruined the whole thing. Like, that's what I see from it anyway. It was like the one thing that just didn't fall into place this winter. I think a lot of us did think it might have been a cold winter, though. Like, nothing like what we're thinking about this year. What I'm thinking about this year. I'm not going to say anything. Why am I saying this? But yeah, and yes, we are bringing the wind down from the northwest, and it does seem to be getting a little bit colder, so it does start pretty seasonal to start with, probably a bit of frost there, but very soon this goes very mild. And as we go up to the 5th of December, it is looking very mild, and this is like the theme probably for the most of December actually. It goes very stormy on the 8th of December there. It does go cold a little bit. If we go back a day, it does seem to go cooler, but I don't think that's enough for snow. We didn't get any snow across December actually, I don't think, here in Scotland. Even in Fife, we didn't get anything. Like, it was cool, the 11th of December, and then it goes very stormy around the 13th, like very stormy, and then it really, really starts from here. Really, it gets very unsettled. The jet stream is going very south, but the Atlantic is just completely in control at this point. That's why it's probably not that cold. And yeah, until the 18th, it just keeps going. The 19th, it's very mild, and then we just keep going, very unsettled on 22nd. Maybe not that unsettled compared to what's to come in a couple of months, but yeah. And yeah, that's still very mild. And as we go up to Christmas Eve, this is looking very mild as well, although this ridge might bring some frosty. I'm not saying might, like it might happen. It did happen. On the 25th, we're actually bringing in some frosty weather. Remarkably, on Christmas Day, this is probably the cold. I think this is probably the coldest Christmas Day in a few years. Actually, remarkably, there was quite a bit of frost on the ground in Scotland in the morning, and yeah, it was quite mild. It was quite cold in the morning. It got milder in the evening though, and rain sat in the evening as well, I remember. And yeah, it gets quite unsettled in the evening. Still fairly cool, but nothing. It's probably more like 7 or 8 degrees in general on this day. So it's not mild. Not like 2015 anyway. That was ridiculous. So yeah, we go through this, and we're bringing up a very warm southwesterly wind here. 10 Celsius is getting in. This is usually the turning point. Like I said last episode, this is usually a turning point. But this is just, it's just like kind of enhancing it a lot, you know. And yeah, 31st December, this is still looking quite mild. We keep going on, and it's actually starting to break through with the Atlantic. The polar vortex of doom is looking really strong here. This is the polar vortex of doom, as I've heard it called, this winter. There was no signs of the polar vortex really powering up that much, but then around mid-December to, you know, around the 15th of December, it really started to power up. If we go back to the 15th, let's just go back. Oh yeah, I forgot you can't do it that fast. Let's go to December 15th. So yeah, this is, the polar vortex is really starting to strengthen around the 15th. So yeah, that's what happened, and yeah, it led us into like a very, very stormy winter in general. We keep going here, and it just stays stormy. There is some high pressure inference, so it gets dry sometimes, but January overall is very mild. It just keeps going, it just keeps going. And then, but there's no sign of snow either. Like, to this point, we've had no snow. Not a single, well, we probably had a flake, but there's nothing snowy at all about this winter. There might have been some snow around the 12th, maybe in the north, but nothing significant. It was very stormy on the 13th, very stormy, stays stormy on the 16th, and yeah, it's still mild, nothing cold. The 18th is an interesting day though. The 18th was my first snowfall of the season, weirdly enough. The 18th of January was the first time I saw snow this season. I'm not joking. And yeah, the -5 is just about clipping into to Scotland there. And it was gone. It was gone in a few hours though. Like overnight, I remember seeing it, and I think it left something like 1.5, 2 centimeters, something like that. That's nothing, by the way. That's like, for Scotland, that's like really, really bad. If we have only had like 2 centimeters of snow until the middle of January, no, it's a very mild, season overall, and there was hardly anything either. So we go over to, and it goes back to mild, very southwesterly winds, and yeah, it just stays like that all the way into February, pretty much. It does get a little bit cooler. Do bring -5 in, but there was no snow in that. It was all rain, really. Maybe in the far north, a little bit more. So yeah, it's trying to get -5 in. It's trying. It's really trying. And there was no signs around February that we were going to bring in any, there was no signs that we were going to bring in any, cold weather at all. We were thinking maybe we'll be surprised, maybe there's just no signs here, maybe it'll just flip, but it really didn't. It actually, in fact, it intensified quite a bit. I say quite a bit, it intensified a lot. So around the 31st of January, looking extremely mild, southwesterly winds. And then we just roll on in February. 5th of February, we are looking very mild. This is like the worst winter I've ever lived through. Like, I was really surprised when it was frosty on Christmas Day. And yeah, Polar Vortex of Doom winter. I hope we never get it again. We will probably get it again before too much longer. Probably, hopefully in about 10 years though. And yeah, this is where it starts to really ramp up as well, storm-wise. And it's southwesterlies at this point, like the start of this. But look at this, we've got real deep low pressure in the Atlantic. Probably not the Atlantic, from Greenland actually. Starting to threaten. Look at this. This is some strong winds. It's like really stormy as well. 950 millibars northwest in northeast of Scotland as well, near Aberdeen. And then that kind of continues for about 3 days. Although on the 10th, I do remember seeing some snow, a little bit of snow, but the ground was that wet. It snowed for about 2 hours, quite heavily for about 2 hours though. A lot fell. If the ground wasn't saturated, it'd probably been about 7 or 8 centimeters that lay on the ground. But because the ground was so saturated, nothing lay. Like, I remember this really well, and we like continue on, and then next weekend we have another one. Storm Dennis is called. Previously we had Storm Kira, and yeah, up to 100 mile per hour winds again. This was probably not as bad as the first one because the 950 is a bit further north, but still there's a lot to go on. And yeah, just continue on, and then again the following weekend we have another windstorm. Not as strong, it keeps getting less strong because we are moving out of winter. That doesn't mean anything really, and we start going a little bit colder actually, but this brings nothing. This brings rain, I think. There might be some snow around with this, but 26th of February, even around this point, it's still really mild. We've had hardly any snow at this point. Loads of rain, loads of wind. That's it. And yes, we just keep going on. And this is the leap year day, so this is the final day of winter. It is looking very stormy, and yeah, it is very mild. And yes, we keep going on. And then eventually, we, as COVID starts setting in, this is the hilarity thing about this, by the way. As COVID set in, we actually went very dry and sunny. So we had that like very bad stormy winter. Like usually when you say it's a bad winter, you think it's snowy, but this time around it's stormy. So I had that very stormy winter, and it didn't end really. Like it just kept going until March. Around the middle of March, it stopped, and that's when COVID set in. Lockdown happened 23rd, and yes, we went into like a heat wave for about 2 months, and we couldn't go out, so that was great. Well, we could, but we can only exercise or sit on a bench with a coffee or some crap. We weren't even allowed to sit on a bench, were we? So it makes no sense, but whatever. So yeah, that was a fun little section, just reliving that horrible winter that we had to live through. Of course, some people liked it. Some people liked the stormy weather in winter. It's more of an autumn thing, though. That's what autumn's for. But yeah, I thought I'd have a look at the temperature anomalies. This was actually, there was nowhere in the UK that was around average or below average. Everywhere, like literally everywhere, was above, and a lot of places really, really above. London, the London area, like just around Essex and stuff, that was above 2 degrees above average. And yeah, other places, various other places. Fife particularly was 1 to 1.5. Sorry, 1.5 to 2. So yeah, and Dundee was about 0.5 to 1. So it's exposed more to the North Sea. So maybe it is getting a bit more winds from the North Sea. So it's a bit cooler. But yeah, so overall this was a very, very very mild winter. Overall, it was an extremely wet winter as well. Although for the far northeast, interestingly enough, it was actually drier than average. God knows how, because at times it had that 950 millibars with Storm Ciara over Aberdeen pretty much. And yeah, there is Fife just about got 150 to 170% off the average. So yeah, and most places in northwest Scotland and southern Scotland, east, even into the east a little bit, got between 130 and 150 mils overall. So yeah, that's a little reanalysis of 2019-20. My God, I hope we don't experience that again. Are we looking like 2019? So the question is, are we looking like 2019, 2021, 2022 is going to be similar? The short answer is not really, because first of all we have a La Nina, second of all we have an easterly cubio. This was a failed easterly cubio winter, and the polar vortex isn't showing much sign of strengthening, but there is signs it might actually decouple as well, so we'll see what happens with that. But that's just speculation. But we are in easterly cubio and we are La Nina, so that's just 2 up better than what we have this winter. And I mean, really, is it? And really, like, I don't think so. Like, really, I don't think so. It'd be really remarkable if we did. Not in a good way, but yeah. So I thought we'd actually move on to the real thing now. Why have I got GFS there? What am I doing? What am I doing? Why is GFS there? That should be Met Office. Why don't GFS here? It's so weird. Okay. I did this last time, but okay. So we'll start off with the Met Office then, shall we? And so tomorrow we are bringing, or today when this video goes up, we are bringing a bit more. This is I did say a few days ago that this is looking like this will bring some rain, but I actually think it's more clouds. There'll be a few showers around, but it'll be like patchy, you know. And I think it's going to be it's going to be mild anyway. It's got a little bit cooler, but not much. Wednesday it actually gets a little bit cooler as well, because we are starting to bring in, I'd say, a westerly flow, more of as close, like a west-northwesterly probably. So it's bringing the 0 Celsius from in, but it doesn't get that much colder. Probably like 8 or 9 a daytime. It's a little bit cooler, but not much. And then Thursday and Friday, the southwesterlies really start to pick up, and we go into a mild couple of days. And then the weekend signs are afoot. We are starting to bring in north winds, northerly winds, and we are bringing the -5 in with the UK Met Office as well. And we are starting to ridge to Greenland as well. So it's just about ridging to Greenland, and it starts to topple over on the 22nd. That's the idea, that we've got like Saturday night into Sunday, we start to get the northerly winds establishing, and then we Monday morning we start to topple over the ridge, and it stays cold though. There's a chance of frost on Monday morning as well, as I saw on Christmas Day 2019 as well. 0 Celsius is enough for frost, like quite easily. But yeah, so yeah, the UK Met Office is looking cold for the second half of the weekend. GM now, this is the 18Z. Let's go with 24-hourly intervals, and we are looking mild today. That's today. So today, we are bringing in a cooler wind, but nothing significant. It will be a bit milder in the north to the anomaly. It's probably at the same temperature overall for the whole UK, but it's actually probably a bit cooler to the anomaly in the south compared to the north, because we are exposed to the Atlantic more, whereas the south is bringing a bit of an easterly in, not much, but a bit of an easterly. And then Wednesday it does get a bit cooler, and we start to get warmer again. So yeah, zonality for a time, for a couple of days, and then we start to bring in northerly winds at the weekend. Like quite a blast there. For like 20th of November, that's quite a blast. That's quite interesting. And yes, we start to. The interesting thing about this is it starts to push to Scandinavia, but it kind of gets flattened off a little bit with the vortex. Let's say the low pressure in the north. Look at this though. Isn't the vortex meant to be around here? That's the thing. But that's me just probably speculating stuff. And yeah, in fact, we renew the northerly, so we actually get a more bigger northerly plunge around the 24th. That's the idea with the models, that we're starting to get like a big northerly plunge around the 24th, 25th of next week. And yeah, there is real agreement. I should probably not say that because it's spoiling it, but there is agreement that that this could happen, you know. And yes, we start to turn northwesterly. So yeah, we start to turn northwesterly. So maybe signs of it, another break from the northerlies, but it looks like it will happen again around the 28th though, because this ridge is really strengthening a lot. It is sticking there. But yeah, it's like one to watch, you know, like one to watch. And that's just one of many solutions that they're come up with. And this is the ECM. So this one obviously brings in a southwesterly flow on Thursday and Friday. So looking very mild there. The upper air temperature looking very mild. 10 Celsius. And yeah, we start to bring down a northerly on the 21st. That's looking quite chilly, you know, it's going to be quite cool. Maybe some frost with that on Monday morning as well, as that topples in. Same kind of idea as the GM though. It's kind of like, you know, it's sticking there. It's not really getting across very easily. And yeah, it sticks there. And the thing that happens here is we pull in a really cold northerly around the 24th of November. So same idea, a second northerly. The first northerly was quite brief. Like it was notable. It probably will be notable. But the second one is really potent. You know, like it's probably going to be enough for wintry showers, I would imagine. And yes, and look at this as well. Like it's really rich into Greenland. Like 1,040 millibars, not overly. Not a lot, but well, what am I saying? 1,040 millibars. Like the most we had in 2019 was like 1,010, even in November. And yeah, we're starting to bring like a northerly down as well on the 25th. So that's really interesting. Kind of more northeasterly though. Sorry, no, it's not. Northwesterly. A little bit more northwesterly. And yeah, it is bringing -10 in on the 25th as well. So that is quite interesting as well. And yes, so we are going to move on to the GFS now. I've not seen the 18Z. I've seen the 12Z, and I know what happened on the 12Z. And yes, this was quite remarkable. I got a little bit of a shock when I saw it. I was like, oh my god, is this really happening? This is like a really good run. I shouldn't be spoiling this, but this is like a really good run if you want cold weather. For the end of November, anyway. We don't know how that would impact further down the line. So yeah, let's go 24-hourly intervals. So this is 15th of November. This is bringing in a southwesterly. Of course, that's already happened, so there's no point talking about it. Southwesterlies on Thursday, again on Friday, and we are quite mild with that. Probably like 14 or 15 in the east of Scotland. Maybe like the northwest, maybe a little bit cooler, but who knows. And yeah, Sunday is the day that changes. Saturday night, Sunday is the day that changes. I'm a Celebrity will start pretty cold as well. I imagine they'll probably be freezing on the first night. Taster what's to come maybe for I'm a Celebrity. Wow, imagine that. Imagine we get like a 2010 again. Imagine how cold they're going to be. I dread to think that. And yes, 22nd we start to topple it in. And yes, same idea again, a bit later, but same idea again as we bring in a northerly, 1,040 millibars. Actually, before that, we have 1,070 as well. Wow, wow, wow. And bringing in a very potent northerly. It's a bit of a periphery from winter showers, though, because all the very cold air is going into Scandinavia. Look at this, like -10. Actually, we do start getting some really cold air in, actually. Just as cold as Scandinavia, interestingly enough. And yes, we really renew that around the 25th, 26th. Even -5 is really cold as well. Like -5 ISO is really cold. And look at this, it's really ridge into Greenland as well. And this is where the fun starts, around the 28th. This is where we could get some severe snow, maybe. Yes, this is where we can get some severe snow because it is starting to bring low pressure, a bit of a diving low down. We start to tap into some of that Scandinavian cold air. Almost ran out of breath there. And yeah, even to the end, it is looking very cold, like the 30th. Even that's like probably a whole 10 days of like cold weather. Actually, there's one more we can go. 1st December. There we go. Still looking cold. 1st December. Still looking cold. But there is signs that maybe this ridge is going to topple over. But who knows? It's all about this low pressure as well. We go back a bit. This was developing a little bit. So it really depends if it goes this direction. It could go south as well and renew the Scandinavian high. Let's say renew. It could enhance it. It could go up to Scandinavia and pull in easterly winds as well. So yeah, one to watch this. That's a very interesting run. Okay, I'm actually really nervous. We've got one more bit to go. So how does that compare to the overall ensemble? So you can see here we are going milder tomorrow, and we are going to drop a bit on Wednesday, so a bit below average, but not for long. We are going to go back up significantly above. Interesting that that's only around where we are now, though. But for November, that's quite mild. That's going to go to about 14 or 15 degrees, I reckon, in the east of Scotland. And then in northeast Scotland, probably Aberdeen area. And then it's probably going to drop. It drops significantly on the 21st, so that's quite cold again. So if we just hover over the operational there, it is the lower end, I'll be honest. It is the lower end. There's no two ways about that. But there is fewer now. There is way fewer milder members going above like 0 degrees now than there was yesterday. Like that's quite a shift to the last couple of days as well, though. Quite a shift. Yes, the operational is one of the lowest, but still. And it has got support from the control, I believe, as well. Unless the control is actually going quite mild, but until like the 29th, it is quite cold, the operational. So yeah, definitely one to watch. This, and you notice the white line is dipping a little bit below average, a bit more as well than it did the other day. If you notice when I did the video the other day, it stayed around average, maybe a tiny bit below, but this has gone quite a bit below average now for the ensembles anyway. So it's sitting somewhere between about 1 and 3 degrees below average all the time. -1 and -3 ISO. So that is definitely a shift towards cold in the last couple of days. But yeah, it's definitely one to keep an eye on. I've got a feeling over the next couple of days, it will revert back to mild in the couple of runs over the next couple of days. I wouldn't be like concerned about that. I'd just wait for the overall thing. I wouldn't be worried about that at all. Even though I probably will be a little bit. But maybe the 18Z is the start of this, because this one usually likes to be the one that's not with the pack, you know. So we're going to have a look at the 18Z. I've not seen this yet, so I've got no prior knowledge about this, so we're going to see what this does. Does it bring down that northerly twice? I think we're probably going to get 2 northerly blasts at some point, probably one on the 21st and one on the 25th as bold predictions, but I think it may happen. There's a lot of model agreement over the last couple of days, even if this run isn't like that. But we'll see what happens with this run. Maybe this is going to be very, very, very blocked. Who knows? Maybe it's going to be very mild. Who knows? It won't be very mild, but we'll see. And we'll have a look at we can't look at the ensembles because they're not updated yet, so we'll have to wait like an hour for them. Actually, we'll have a look and see if they've actually updated. But yeah, so let's run through this. So let's go with 24 hourly intervals. Let's go 12. Let's go 12. Then we'll go 12 hourly interval. Nah, let's go 24. It's probably better. So yeah, we are obviously bringing in South. Let's start off with... No, let's not play that. No, don't play that. Stupid. So yeah, obviously southwesterly winds on Thursday, southwesterly winds again on Friday. Upper air temperatures probably really cold. And yes, it is bringing in the northerly on Saturday night, as we said. This is actually shown it on Saturday night, and it is starting to really bring in the -5. Let's go 12 early just to see how long this lasts for. And yes, it does stick with the -5 a little bit more. Maybe not as far south though. But Scotland, we're focusing this on Scotland. They keep the -5 for just as long. But England probably don't get it very much, interestingly enough. Why is that going back to the start? And yes, it is starting to bring this high pressure in. And it's kind of ridging up to Greenland a little bit. Not quite as much as previous runs, but that's probably not going to affect much. And yeah, it starts on the 22nd. We start to bring more northerlies down again. Start to anyway. And yes, 23rd is starting to keep high pressure in, which may actually work in our favour. And yes, on the 24th, we actually get real blocking appearing on the 25th. And wow, we actually bring in this northerly blast down on the 25th. -10 is getting to North Scotland. I imagine the next day it'll be right across the country. Wow, wow, wow. -10 into the north, -5 right across the country. That's looking really cold. We'll probably get almost everything out of the sky will be snow at this point, if anything does fall, of course, but it does look like something will fall. Look at this blocking as well. We're almost right at the top of the chart here. And yes, it continues right through 28th, and yeah, the blocking does start to reduce a little bit. So we start to go a bit less cold, but not a lot. And the 29th, we actually break through the Atlantic, which is a bit annoying. But yeah, but look at this, though. It's really, really bizarre. Like this low pressure up north is really struggling. Like, it's going right down to this area, like into the Atlantic. So this might be setting up like a bloody negative NEO for a bit. Sorry, positive NEO for a bit. But it still looks quite negative in Greenland as well. Maybe. But yeah, this is a very bizarre run. The 1st of December is looking very mild. We're bringing the southwest. I don't know about that, you know. I know the 18Z likes to be different, but that looks so weird. I've never seen that's so bizarre. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen. Maybe it's what I'm not hoping, but maybe it's important later on. Maybe, you know, if we start to ridge this more to Greenland, we start pulling that down, that could be severely cold. But I don't know about that. It was very, very bizarre. But it is starting to ridge. If you notice, it is just behind it. It's starting to ridge to Scandinavia a little bit, you notice. So that could start turning easterly early December. But overall, this is quite a cold run until around the 29th. Around 27th, 28th, still cold 28th. So around 29th, that's when it starts to turn. So we get about a week of cold weather. Maybe just a bit over, maybe like 8 days of cold weather. From the 21st, but especially around 26th, 27th, that's where it like really starts to dig in. This might be like a tease, you know, but quite a big tease, like a long tease. It's quite a potent northerly spell on the 26th, so probably not as cold as the 12Z, but a bit more interesting in early December if this does happen. It's probably unlikely, but if this starts to push a little bit more to Scandinavia, it could really turn easterly, and that could become really cold. But yeah, that's a really extended range. Early December, wow. Some charts have come out in the last couple of days, though. Some really interesting charts. A lot of them cold, like most of them cold. But yeah, if we have a look at the little ensemble thing, where is it? I don't know if they've updated it yet. Let's have a look. If it's ensemble, yeah, it's only updated to the 27th, so we can only take this. Why is it in Perth, Australia? So we can only really take it up to it is. So it is showing quite a significant drop, though. Look at this. The average is going to -5. The average of the ensembles is going to -5 ISO. So you can see that's another shift to cold. Another big shift to cold from like -3 as an average, even -2 to an average, down to -5. That's a massive shift again. It just shows, I'm asking myself, how much is this going to shift downwards? Are we going to get like a flip to mild again with the operational? The operationals, that's the key one. The operational could be very an outlier. So we go right down to -10 here in Dundee as well. So yeah, this is going to be an interesting couple of weeks ahead, maybe even a couple of months. So yeah, that's going to be it, I think, for today. So I don't think we're going to get a 2019-20. It's bold words, but that was like a failed winter. We had no easterly QBO, no La Nina. No, it just doesn't scream it to me. The polar vortex, I don't think it's going to power up. Especially if we start getting charts like the 1st of December there. This one. If we start getting charts like that, I don't think we've got any chance of a 2019-20 at all. And the Atlantic as well. The Atlantic is the other thing that I was wanting to talk about. The Atlantic looks like it's in shutdown for the next 2 weeks. Like, it literally is dead. Like, completely dead for the next 2 weeks. It might be powering up again on the 29th. But look at this. It's got like this block, like this kind of block thing over here. So it's kind of blocking out the Atlantic, you know, completely. I think anyway. Some low pressures are appearing, but they seem to get flattened off a lot by the northerlies. So it's a really interesting couple of weeks ahead, I think. I think we're going to do another one of these in 2 days' time, by the way. I think we're going to do another one of these in 2 days' time. I did say they would become more frequent if things get interesting. It really has over the last couple of days, especially over the last, like, 2 days really, last like 48 hours or so, it's gotten really interesting. Today it's gotten really interesting as well. More so, like it's really started to pique my interest a lot. If we start seeing charts like these in a couple of days' time, I really think that we're probably going to get quite a cold end to November, and that average temperature will plummet downwards. I think down to like 5 degrees, 6 degrees sort of area. But yeah, that's a long time away, and we'll probably have more about that on Thursday morning, and we will show you the next part of the Christmas stuff on Thursday as well. So we'll preview some more Christmas stuff. Yeah, so that's gonna do it. What an interesting video that was. I hope you enjoyed that, looking at 2019-20 and obviously upcoming charts as well. So yeah, this has been a long video. I expected this to be a long video, but yeah, if you enjoyed the video, press that like button. If you really want to keep updated with all those weather videos or whatever, life videos, music videos, then subscribe. And we'll see you in the next episode. See you later.